This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, everybody, I'm calling to order the meeting of the Ad Hoc Grant Search Committee for November 2nd at about 2 o'clock. And we have with us members of our committee, Diana Fetterman and Kate Brooks. Ed Gibson won't be joining us today. He's got a conflict. Our town administrator is the other member of the committee, and he's got another meeting at the same time. So he went in that direction. And with us too, we have Chief Illingsworth and Randall Kemp, the highway superintendent. And welcome also to Jeff McCullough, who's the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission's transportation guy. So thank you very much, everybody, for showing up. Basically, we'll just start the meeting. I'm going to push off the minutes from last meeting until the end just to take advantage of time and people's availability here. We don't have any open time for the public. So basically, our business is to talk about this new grant application that we're going to be considering, which is the Safe Routes to School infrastructure program that we started looking at a little bit last week to understand the parameters of it. We've had a little bit of progress since that time in that I've been able to get in, I've been registered on the portal along Randall's portal that already exists. And my goal for tomorrow is to get in it and try and see how much of a nightmare it is to manipulate. I've heard that once you're in, you're good, but it's a challenge getting into it sometimes. So I'm going to be dedicating some of my morning to that, where I don't have to worry about some other conflicting meeting. Aliza Pluta, our school principal, couldn't be here today too. She's Jeff. She's the head of the William E. Norris School here in Southampton, the K-6 program. But today is parent-teacher conference, so I really blew it when I scheduled this meeting. But anyway, she did provide some responses for us. So let me just tell you where we're at, and I think I might do one thing first before I lose it. But I asked Kate to go out and take some photos. So I'll probably bring those up first just to run through them before I lose them somehow. And then I divided up the school questions to Aliza, and then some of the other more general types of questions about safety, et cetera, to both Ian and Randall to be more involved in. And so far, I just took a stab at the project description. So that's where we were at the point in time. And Diana, I wasn't sure if you'd be here, so I didn't give you an assignment last time. So we'll figure out going forward where we are on this. I know you said you'd be out of town at some point, and I wasn't sure when. So
yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, okay. So let me see if I can hopefully try and share these photos. Kate, thank you so much for going out and wandering around and taking a few photos this weekend. I don't know where I'll end up downloading or what we might use, but this is kind of just showing. So this is going across the edge of the current shared use path. The very first one, the current shared use path along Route 10, Jeff, Pomeroy Meadow going down onto the right. And Jeff, sorry, are you familiar with the area at all, or?
Up, you're on mute.
Yeah, unmute yourself, sorry.
Sorry, we have other people on meetings, so I hate to always bother you with their. So yes, I'm familiar with the Route 10 project, and then I have been to the North School before on Pomeroy Ridge. So
okay, good. So this is it. Yeah. No, go ahead and keep yourself unmuted. It's fine. Unless you've got a barking dog running through, you're fine. So anyway, so thanks, Kate. So again, so this is the little kitty corner path that goes along to the existing sidewalk. So last week we were debating how wide that sidewalk was on the north side of Pomeroy Meadow. And we can see right here, it's basically, I think Randall will confirm it later on, but I think Randall, you told me it was about a 4 foot wide path, which was maybe regulation at the time. Nice one here with the bicycle sign in the road, at least. Oops, what happened there? Well, I don't know why I did that, but anyway. Okay, so this is showing. Is this Rosalie? I can't read the sign, but
I think that's the first street, whatever the first.
Oh, this
street.
is Parsons. Yeah. Oh, this is from the Parsons Village way. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this is where the sidewalk is on the north side. Okay, never mind. Let me just maybe do it this way. I was trying to. Yeah, let me do it this way. Okay, so yes. So this would be going down the road. I'll just do this way.
I thought the bike on the roadway was a nice touch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All righty. Let me see. I don't know where these are going here. Hold on just a second. My view is getting compromised here. Okay, so this is the first crosswalk, which is that near the Parsons Village area, I believe. Or maybe
I don't
it's a
think the
second.
sidewalk continues beyond there either.
Or is
I
this
think
one?
that's one of
That's
the
gonna
sides.
be Courtney.
No.
That looks like, is that?
No, that's
No,
Courtney. That's on the left
It's
side.
Courtney. Yeah,
Is
that's
that-
Courtney Lane.
So what is this right here though? Is that
I think that's just dirt on the side of the road, like the shoulder.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
okay.
no like sidewalk so the
Okay.
sidewalk comes to the corner and then drops off. There's no sidewalk there.
okay? So this is the south side then, right? From the subdivision. These are the subdivisions out here that we want to get the kids across the road from, right?
That's the closest one to Route 10.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. The very first one. Gotcha. Okay. All right. We'll just kind of wander down through a few of these here and we'll see what we would end up using. But yeah, so this is a good one, Kate. I think just showing the width of this this sidewalk. And I love the our poles in the way, of course, but I guess that's the way things were at the time. Come on here. Where are we at? Okay, so this shows a little bit. So this would be one of the areas. This is probably Rosalie, maybe?
No, that's Courtney. Is it
That's
the
Courtney.
first
That's
one?
another
That's
angle of
Courtney,
Courtney.
yeah.
Oh, it's another angle of Courtney. Okay, so there's a lot more. Yeah, you're right. That's what that was. Okay, so there's Courtney, Rosalie Way, and Rosalie Lane and Parsons Way on this south side, Jeff. That is where we're trying to get some crosswalks. We originally thought we'd be simple and just put in some landing areas and a couple crosswalks to get over to this sidewalk, and we thought we had a pretty simple project, and now they've complicated it for us. Of course. What do we got here? I don't know. Yeah. So again, just showing that.
Yeah,
I'll end up-
make sure to take a picture of the
Oh yeah,
telephone pole in the middle of the sidewalk.
right.
Very accessible.
Right. So as we think about, trying to meet, ADA accessibility, et cetera, some of these could be definitely a bit of a challenge. So that's what some of these are showing, I think, right? So,
I didn't
we'd
go
end
all
up,
the way down the road either because I tried to focus on the area where we're trying to
Correct.
get sidewalks put in. If
Absolutely.
you want me to go down further, I know that you were limited to 10 pictures, so
Right.
I'm happy to do that if it would be helpful.
yeah, no, I think we can probably pick out 10 out of the bunch you've given here. So this is Parsons Way. I think I'm right finally here.
Yep.
Maybe, or maybe not. It's one or the other. But yeah, we're
That would
trying
be
to,
Parsons, Yep.
yeah. And so this shows these going down this direction. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll just skip around a little bit. They're all, a couple of these are kind of similar. I should have downloaded them, sorry. So these, when you get down here, the poles are actually off the sidewalk, at least compared to that other one. But there is definitely that challenging one.
And I'll just say, when I was there taking pictures, there were cars flying by. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, there definitely should be sidewalks here or some sort of traffic calming,
Mhm, yeah.
something. I mean, it definitely would be helpful.
Well, I think we feel that we've got something that we can probably articulate here. It's just a matter of how to do it. I won't go through all of these, but just to show you, Kate's done a great job just pulling some of these together, and we'd go through and just pick out whatever as the sort of, oh, this could be interesting here, this view, because so here's the shared use back up here along Route 10. This is our new sidewalk that just got finished out in front of Party Patrol coming up in front of the cemetery. And that was done through the shared uses, shared streets program last year.
It was called.
So shared spaces, right. So that just got connected here. And then there is a crosswalk right here.
And you can
And
barely
that's how-
see that crosswalk too. I'm
Right.
just, for road safety, that crosswalk is very faded.
Yeah. Although right here, you can't see it in the line, but there is a flashing red light here. So cars do have to stop there, but there is a sidewalk here. I mean, a crosswalk that people get over then to the existing narrow sidewalk going up to the school, which is kind of behind this orange tree where my cursor is up there, basically. Okay.
Chris,
So
you
that's
know what
kind
is
of the-
not there though? You know what is
Yep.
not there that probably should be are those amber blinking lights, right? Because people turning onto Pomeroy Meadow Road from Route 10
Okay.
won't have the they won't have that indication that somebody's crossing the road. You
No.
follow me?
Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
like, you can barely
Especially
see
if
the
there's a car
crosswalk. I
at
like,
the intersection, it could block their line of sight.
Right. So maybe some flashing lights at the existing crosswalk is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
question the overuse of those signs, though. It's one of the first things the manual on uniform traffic control devices says is like, don't overuse signs. Like if you feel like we need to put up amber blinking signs at every crosswalk, then they become less effective.
Yeah, that's probably true too. So I'll stop sharing that. But yeah, so that's an idea. But it could be, again, as we put forth our ideas, my understanding of this program, and Jeff, maybe you know better, but my understanding is eventually, once we get our application in and it's reviewed by whomever this committee is, AECOM or whomever else, and it eventually goes off to DOT and hopefully gets selected, then it's actually AECOM as kind of the technical consultant that would come out and do the walkthrough and say, okay, well, you've got a great idea here, but, based on our technical expertise, we think the sidewalk, should be this way, or the crosswalk should be over here. And this is really more effective signage than what you were thinking of. So they're the ones that, from my understanding anyway, put the real fine technical details on our proposal. Is that am I correct in that, I guess, Jeff?
Right. So yeah, this is a wonderful program in the sense that I always compare it to the Willy Wonka golden ticket. I mean, you get everything if you are chosen. So you get the design services and that walk you all the way through the design, and then the construction funds. It's wonderful. The only thing you have is a responsibility for right of way, really. At the same time, as you hand over that responsibility, you lose some control of the project. As you probably remember on your Route 10 project, the timeline can sometimes run out longer than what you might have anticipated otherwise. And there's not a lot you can do. And that's sometimes frustrating. But at the same time, cost-wise and resource-wise, I can't think of any programs that are offer so much as this one infrastructure program, and it is very competitive. I was going to ask, so this is a focus on schools and this program, and
Yep.
we didn't go all the way down to the school in the slide set, but is this area zoned as a school zone along the road, and when do I start seeing those signs and and then the speeds dropping?
Can I share my screen?
Go for it. Yeah. Wait. I need to let you do that. Hold on a second. I got to figure out where to do that. Okay, go ahead, Randall.
Okay, now I have to pick the screen. All right. So are you guys seeing Google Maps?
Yeah.
All right. So Jeff, do you have a general sense of the vicinity?
Yes.
We're looking north here. Pomeroy Meadow intersects with Route 10 behind us. In frame, Parsons is there on the left, and you can see up here ahead. I'll just keep going. You enter. Oh, sharing makes my computer a little wonky. But I think basically this is the school zone, start of the school zone, or we're getting close anyway.
That's where the bike sign is, I think, that Kate took a picture of too, right?
The bike sign's a little bit back further towards College Highway, but that's the first school sign is like a little bit further down the road.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
you can
So
see
that's
how
right.
close the sidewalk is to the road there.
Yeah, that's right before Pomeroy Village or something there, I think, right?
Oh, did I just close the wrong?
I think you did.
I'm trying to close.
Control Shift Tab twice.
Where was I?
But I did see that. I did see and I could see the flashers down the road as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great that all that's in place.
Yeah, but we're just outside of the school zone, basically.
Okay.
So should I go back? Do you recommend, Jeff, that I go back and continue the photographing closer down by the school zone to really show how close that is?
Yeah, or just some vicinity map, just something like this as well that shows because the school zone has a legal limit in number of feet from the school driveway entrance. And so your signage all meets that requirement most likely, or you wouldn't have, it's all in the MUTCD. And then the other question was that backup. And I thought, Chris, you would share that really interesting photo of the backup. And one of the red flags for me is like, why didn't they fund this under signs and lines, right? Pretty easy to put a crosswalk in.
Seemed it.
Yeah, but it must have flagged something. And I do think we should reach out to our Safer School liaison and get a little more information. I know they'd be happy to share that with us. We're all on the same page as trying to achieve something here. But that backup, I was like, when it's backed up, is it two-way traffic? And Randall, maybe the answer to that, or are those cars just sitting there and you basically have one-way traffic on Pomeroy Meadow when the cars are all waiting to drop off?
So Ian and I and the select board have struggled with this, because what happens is people try to pull off the road here. They're sometimes all the way onto the sidewalk. And then when the school, let me spin around here.
And they go all the way back down to Route 10.
Right. So you've got a pretty long line of vehicles.
Yeah.
And then when they open up for people to come into the school entrance here, everybody then pulls into the lane. So if there are cars in this lane, they get pushed over the yellow line. It's not an ideal situation at all.
Yeah, there's your crosswalk. You can't put a crosswalk there. Not with that kind of behavior. That's just not safe. And they probably picked up on that. That's what I'm guessing. But,
I think they also might have picked up on it, Jeff, that it was only impacting about 6 kids.
Yeah. And you didn't have sidewalks on those streets already prioritized yet. Is that correct? Those neighborhood streets?
Right.
I mean, that's not so unusual. And then the fact that the sidewalk wasn't on that side of the road at all, like not even from the first side street up to the corner at Route 10, which is where you already have a sidewalk network that you've expanded down to the cemetery. And so those kids have to, on a regular basis, negotiate that.
Right.
So.
Those are the kids we're talking about, would be in that there's basically sort of three side streets there coming up from the cemetery area where we've just finished off that sidewalk. So this is the south side. And there is no sidewalk there at all. So we were proposing one like here at Rosalie, and then a second one farther up at Parsons Way.
Sure.
But
I mean, you guys have done amazing. It's not like you can do all of this at one time. You've been pecking away at this and with amazing success. So pat yourself on the back. You're not going to solve every problem with one grant. But I do think, as Ian mentioned, that there are probably some outliers here that need to be answered. And are there crossing guards for these students as they get to the intersection right now, or
No.
Oh, they're not. There are people at the school with flags, but
There's nobody crossing them across the street. No.
Yeah.
No.
So a crosswalk, just some paint on the road, is basically an invitation for disaster, because you're not providing them with the protection or resources they need to cross safely if vehicles are traveling in an unpredictable fashion. And those cars that you could see where they worn away the tree belt further up near the school as they roll those wheels on closer to the sidewalk. So it's just, sort of a recipe for disaster. But it's also a great opportunity to bring in some resources to assess the problem. And that's the other question I had, and maybe Ian or Chris, someone would know, when they did the study for your last project, I know in the past they've done parent audits about travel behavior at the school, but they usually produce a report. Have you seen that report that included the recommendations for Route 10?
I haven't. I don't know if maybe the school principal might have. I don't know. Or Ian, I don't know.
No, I have not. No.
Jeff, when would this have been done?
So traditionally, the projects follow a path where you get the studies done first, and it comes through with a series of recommendations. And then you remember the school is largely the proponent for this program, not the town. So the school partners with the town, but the school was the proponent and the applicant, and they prioritize what types of improvements out of that recommendation in that study that they'd like to move ahead with first. And, some things are more challenging. I mean, moving those poles is like, it basically takes an act of God to move those utility poles.
Plus, it's about 5,000 a piece.
Thank you. If you can get them to do it. I think those challenges are real, but it's all worth doing.
So,
Yeah.
One of the issues that has created a traffic problem here, not only is that because kids are getting dropped off at school, but several years ago they changed the pattern of dropping kids off, and as a result, that's what creates that line of cars on Pomeroy Meadow Road. It's a waiting line basically for cars to pick up. School gets dismissed at around 3:00, and sometimes cars are there waiting at 2:15, 45 minutes early. So one of the things that we also thought about, and I don't know if this is a goal, is this part of the goals, Chris, with this or not, but the alternative plan on Gun Road extension, is that something that we want to discuss or not?
I'd like to. We haven't found any other program that might consider it. So, I mean, Jeff may have some handle on that. Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah.
So one of the things that we discussed that could be a possible solution, and maybe you have greater insight on this than I would for sure. But Gun Road extension connects Pomeroy Meadow Road, right where it says North School, to Route 10. That's Gun Road extension. There are a series of numbers of bad crashes at Gun Road and Route 10 because the line of sight is very bad. So, what we thought about was kind of killing two birds with one stone here. Is it potential to make Gun Road extension a one-way and then have that line of cars line up on Gun Road extension versus Pomeroy Meadow Road and have a designated area for them to line up or park or stand while they're waiting?
Yeah.
Because how the line works now is they come on Pomeroy Meadow Road northbound, they take that loop around the school, and then they exit. They pick up their child or drop off their child right at the right where that cursor is, and then they take a left or a right onto Gun Road extension to leave.
Yeah, it's interesting. When COVID came along, the busing situation for a lot of our schools changed dramatically. Is there busing at William Norris?
There is, and this is pre-COVID. COVID made it worse for sure. But what happened was the principal at the time felt that and I agree, the current drop-off procedures were not safe for security. Parents were allowed in the school building. The kids were kind of just running from the parking lot into the school. So there wasn't really a lot of accountability. So she recognized that and changed the lineup, the pickup and drop-off procedures, which, for the right reason. However, consequently, it created that problem on Pomeroy Meadow Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something? I mean, it's certainly within the limitations of the mileage for the project here, but is that something that would be a possibility to even think about in this project, do you think?
I mean, if you're asking me, I think it's a pretty extensive engineering study to deal with Gun Meadow Road traffic flows. Nothing's outside of the realm of realities, but you're going to look at your emergency response time on that road, and there's a lot to think about. You could end up sending more traffic down the roads that you don't want to send traffic on, but maybe you would also improve some of it. So it's an engineering study. I wouldn't rule out free resources that are available to the town and immediately, which is dealing with safe routes to school, to do another audit of the school now that things have changed considerably. They're experts in this. Again, it'll give you a roadmap to not just one solution, but multiple solutions. And you all, including the school, would be active partners in that assessment. So I wouldn't rule that out as a possible next step. You certainly apply for the grants for this go round. But
Is the audit, Jeff, something that, is that grant funded or is that just a request? I mean, how does that work?
just a request.
Oh, okay.
Just a request.
So that we can check in with the school principal and just find out when that might have been done last too. She must have something in her
Yeah.
records. Is it called just a school audit? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, safety assessment. And they have, I looked, the MassDOT Safe Routes to School program lists a lot of their studies that they've done recently. And I looked through there and I did not see anything for North School, but it only went back so far. It did show 2 parent surveys. So twice they've surveyed parents about their drop-off patterns.
Okay.
And which is part of it, which is helpful information to have.
All right. So back on we'll come back to Gun Road Extension maybe, but back on Pomeroy Meadow. So showing what you were saying and the concern about having cars parked alongside the road like that, and that maybe our thought about making 2 crosswalks to get over there were issues that the previous grant program might have, flagged or concerned them. I mean, I guess the thinking was, we've still got to get those kids safely from those neighborhoods, right, across Pomeroy Meadow. So if we don't do a crosswalk, what do? They're not going to walk back up to Route 10 and walk back down, right? They're going to take the shortest way possible to get to school. So they're going to run across the street or something.
Yeah, and some of the parents are going to put them in the car and go get in that line.
No, maybe, yeah. But I mean, it still seems, irrespective of the line of traffic, that we still need at least a crosswalk from that south side across Pomeroy Meadow. No, you don't see that, or no?
I think you and I are looking at the same way. It's like something's better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
But I think that from what I gathered from what you shared is that the Safe Routes to School committees are looking for a more comprehensive approach to addressing the problem.
Yeah, and I guess we're just not clear on what problem it is that they are seeing that we don't understand. I guess.
Well, what Ian outlined is to me a problem.
Yeah, Ian, go ahead.
I think we also exceeded the money as well, right? Because we learned, we were at a meeting the other day, and Jeff, you probably confirmed this, but to have concrete pads and a crosswalk as well as those flashers, whether they're electric or solar, that's about a $50,000 to $60 price tag for one. That's what we were told.
Right.
And I think we exceeded we didn't recognize how expensive those were, perhaps, with our inquiries with that last, or our goals with that last application.
Yeah.
Is that could be the reason too. That's maybe why they referred to this grant, because this grant allows for more monies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also get the engineering services to address it more comprehensively. So, yeah. And I think in your application, if you mentioned that you really need this safety assessment to be comprehensive, not just these crosswalks, but, to look holistically at that corridor, that maybe Gun Road is an option that needs pursued, or maybe there's a better traffic flow pattern that could be adopted so that you do not have these vehicles parked out on your sidewalks. I think there's a lot more to crack open with this than we would cover in a meeting.
So in this particular grant, Jeff and Chris, is it feasible to seek the crosswalks and then ask for a comprehensive study as far as the pickup and drop off? Is that a possibility?
Well, it sounds like the request for the comprehensive study is that different than the audit you were talking about, Jeff? I mean, if the comprehensive study is the traffic flow in general, including Gun Road Extension, that may be different than the audit that you were just talking about.
I think that both would be share some components, and that the audit that I was talking about that would be exclusive of this grant would not be as comprehensive in engineering detail, where the one that would go with the application for the infrastructure program, the Safe Routes to School infrastructure program, would be more comprehensive as an engineering study. It would be, they'd be looking at way more data. They'd want speed data and classification data for the road. They'd want to know a gap analysis to know what the gaps were. There would be a full-blown traffic study that would go along with putting in those crosswalks. So. Right. And as Caitlin mentioned, it sounds like cars are traveling at a nice clip along this road.
Right.
And so you might want to think about other vulnerable populations. And we're talking about a school age population here, but we probably have some seniors that might be using this corridor as well, or folks that are don't have access to a car at some point in their lives. So I think that, thinking again, more comprehensively about that stretch of road.
So Randall, maybe you could take your photo down there for a minute and we'll share something else. So one of the things, thanks. Definitely there's people around that use the sidewalk as it is. Okay. There's, especially with the shared use path along Route 10, going up and down Route 10 and coming around that corner, walking up in front of the school and beyond. That gets a lot of walkability from people of all ages. Definitely very heavily used. So the question would be whether we should think about just doing, I think, Randall, you said that the current sidewalk you thought was around 4 feet, thereabouts. And so that's less compliant, right, than where we are with today's rules, which has to be, is it 5 feet for a minimum? And it's certainly not, and terribly not ADA compliant, right? So, should we think about our request be to widen that sidewalk on the north side? In addition to trying to put in a crosswalk of some sort. I don't know. That was what I was struggling with a little bit. I pulled up, hang on a second. Just tried to pull up. Yeah.
While you're looking, you might be surprised at what is ADA compliant. I know when they rebuilt Glendale, that section of Glendale Road in between Pomeroy Meadow and Route 10,
right?
I couldn't believe that some of the poles were put in the middle of what I thought was the middle of the sidewalk. And I went out and measured, and I was told that you need 3 feet for ADA compliance. And I went out with a tape measure, and sure as shooting, it was 3 feet. So I'm not sure if we have 3 feet in that particular photo, but I was quite surprised that was quote unquote compliant.
Yeah. And what is the minimum width though? Am I right that it's 5 feet now?
5 feet to comply with healthy transportation criteria. And that is, we have to put in 5 foot sidewalks on both sides of the road if we want to use like tip money, for example.
Yeah. Although when I talked to Miranda, because that's what I was trying to figure out is like, are we really talking about, we hadn't considered sidewalks on the other side of the street really. And she seemed to think that depending on the size of the project, that wouldn't necessarily be needed to have sidewalks on the south side. But I think she was understanding that the north side was shared use already, which it doesn't technically meet that definition, I guess, right? I mean, I can't imagine putting in sidewalks. I mean, all the way up Pomeroy Meadow, that wouldn't be even just for the school.
Decision to because we at least have sidewalks there. There are so many other spaces I can think of in Southampton where if we're going to, a foot of sidewalk for 100 feet, we could put in a 5 foot sidewalk for 20 feet. So best use of our money.
Right. I mean, I don't want to use up, limited resources for an area that is probably not a high priority. That's kind of what I was thinking too on the sidewalk thing. And, what I was trying to explain to Miranda is like, we weren't expecting this to be a 5-year project. I mean, I almost fell over when I saw her comments because it's like, these kids are going to be out of school by the time we get this project done, So, I forget, we had, I think it was 10 kids or whatever that live over on that side now at the most. But I mean, the idea is still trying to help those families get their kids over safely, before and after school and other after school programs, et cetera. So this is pretty much the program description that we had. For the second part is, what we had for the original project, Signs and Lines. And the first part, I just added in the first sentence about widening an existing sidewalk on Route 10, from Route 10 to the school rather.
I will
But I don't
say
know.
that
Is
it will
this
change
is this our objective? I don't know.
I will just, listening to Jeff and hearing about the pickup and drop off, we were concerned about how just expanding the sidewalk or creating those crosswalks would impact a small number of students. But you imagine the number of parents that would be affected by, a traffic study that would review the traffic pattern for pickup and drop off. And, maybe we could include some information in the application about how many people pick up and drop off their kids every day that are congesting that road. I mean, the numbers, I think, would look pretty different.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe
Okay.
even kind of taking that one step further to say, COVID has before COVID, there were an anticipated or an estimated certain number of people, and then COVID increased that number to blank. I wish Eliza was here to kind of provide those exact numbers, but I imagine that I see the traffic lines. It is quite dangerous. It's way more than 10 cars or 10 kids that would be impacted.
I have an
Yeah.
image depicting the length of the traffic line. And again, it's 0.2 miles long, approximately. That's how long it is. So it essentially goes from the beginning, the first entrance, the southerly entrance of the school, to the post office. That's where it is now. During COVID, it went all the way out to Route 10. We actually had to remove cars off of Route 10.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's that 0.2 miles, which is what we've said here. And then Ian, you would put out some traffic monitoring speed signs there. And so this is what you had collected during the month or so that you had the speed sign out there. Is that right?
Yes. Right.
So-
and as far as speed goes, there weren't any indicators that the traffic was. In fact, I think they're not including the when the speed zones are on, the school zone lights are on, but it's a 35 mile an hour zone. And I think the average speed, or the 85th percentile, was around 37.5 miles
Yeah.
per hour.
So that part is okay, but just the volume. So what you had here though was this, during the
volume.
1 hour, the number of vehicles traveling on Pomeroy Meadow. That's a lot of
Right.
cars.
Right.
I just wanted to question the 35 mile per hour speed limit as if that might be appropriate. I mean, I'm not as familiar as obviously as all of you are with this part of town, but if this is a residential area, 35 miles an hour is a pretty high rate of speed. Does it something that's traditionally been that? Is that something folks are comfortable with? Is that?
Well, from what Ian just said, the 85th percentile is 37.5. So if we did a speed study on it, it's going to come in at between 35 and 40 anyway. So regardless.
No, I understand that thought process. MassDOT has thrown that out. So that's the old school way.
Oh, good.
That's
Oh.
good news.
Yeah, that we don't do that anymore. That was as stupid as it sounds. No, you have, we're really focusing on 25 for a lot of residential areas in Massachusetts, and there's a lot of support for doing that. MassDOT launched a whole campaign last year for that. And it's something they continue to prioritize, and there's a lot of support for that. So we don't do the 85th percentile anymore. But
I remember reading some studies also about road bikeability and how speeds over 30 miles an hour are really unsafe for bikers as well. And I mean, it's clearly directing bikes onto the roadway with a speed limit posted higher than 35 miles an hour. So I think it also, that could be another consideration.
yeah, it's something, and Ian, you would know more about the complexities of that. But you would look out, a mile before you reach this area and see if when could you start slowing vehicles down as they start to enter, the more or less the town center and how you can make that work. But it's something to think about.
So I guess to come back around here, what do we think we want to ask for, guys? I mean, is this, well, first of all, do we want to do it? We did understand that this does not affect our tip status at all. It's a separate pot of money. So that's good. So we're not robbing other money that we need for other important priorities in town from Randall's budget here.
Even design would be handled through, that's comes from
Yes.
us? Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Excellent.
Yeah. So Randall, it's kind of like when we had the guy from Stantec that helped us do the one for the cemetery.
Yep.
It's just that we had that design done at the application stage. This one, we have to give, I mean, some level of specificity because we do have to put a budget in, I guess, on this, but we don't have all the technical details at this stage. But once it gets to a level of acceptance, they send their DOT sends their TA team out, which in this case is a group called AECOM, in this case, that would come out and do the actual walkthrough and measure and, say, hey, we think you need a stop sign over here or whatever they recommend. So that's what gets tidied up as the final piece of our package that DOT finally looks at. So it's a little bit reverse from what we did with Stantec on the shared spaces and streets one or whatever that was. Yeah.
So I guess to define what we're going to apply for, we have to identify what the problem is, right?
Yep.
Because if we can't identify exactly what the problem is, then how are we going to write this grant?
Right.
So is the problem focused on the residents on the opposite side of the street crossing over? Is the problem the pickup line?
Yes.
Or is it a combination of both?
I think it's both.
And
Yeah.
if it's a combination of both, I would say, this is my thoughts, and I don't know how much this grant can cover, but you seek the crosswalks and then seek a study for, a study or whatever the proper term is for the actual pickup line and see if there's another way to do it. And then we address that the next round. We'll have the study and then we apply for changes for that the next round based on the study results. Is that a possibility?
Well, can I even back up further than that? We were talking about requesting an evaluation. Will that evaluation help us narrow down what we want to go for? Or have I got it backwards? The evaluation is the grant? Jeff?
That's why I don't know the scope of the grant. I guess I'm coming in a little blind. I didn't read the entire grant over, so I don't know the scope of the grant as far as can we do it multifaceted? Can we seek the potentials of crosswalks and also ask for a study of the school drop off and pickup?
I think we really would want to ask, because I don't want to speak, I have an idea, but I think we'd want to ask Miranda. She would know, she's the expert, and we have easy access to her. She's very responsive. So let's just get that question, either meet with her or email her and find out what she thinks would be the most effective route. I mean, it doesn't stop you from applying this round for funding either way. But I think I think those are really good questions that you're asking. I guess that's my point.
But again, give me the term again you used, Jeff, for the other, I'm calling it audit because I can't remember the right term, that you mentioned for the school that we just have to simply request.
Yeah, I know I sent you an email with what it was called and specifically. Let me see if I can find that. Just a sec.
I mean, I guess I don't see, I understand this would be a bigger engineering study if we talked about traffic flow, both on Pomeroy Meadow, but also maybe looking at the Gun Road extension option. But in my head, I don't see that taking 5 years. I mean, I don't know. I mean, am I?
Oh, no, you could easily wait 5 years for that.
Oh, yeah. Lord.
I mean, but it's often not the work, it's the wait. And look at Route 10. How long did that take? Does anyone remember?
It started before I was promoted, and it was a couple of years through right-of-way acquisition and then construction. Yeah.
Well, we just waited 5 years for a bridge.
Yeah, that's true.
Do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do we want to think though about improving the existing sidewalk? Is that one thing to look at that wouldn't. I mean,
Could
it
it be
seems
like
like
to
it.
improve roadway safety and put that as a consideration? I think that's maybe maybe we ask Miranda that question and say, you know, in order to improve the walking safety, bike safety, and road safety of the people pulling off to pick up their children, do you suggest that we recommend these the sidewalks be widened, or do we say explore options in order to improve safety? I mean, I don't know what you would think would be the best way to word that, Jeff.
So widening the sidewalks doesn't, what does that give us though? Because you're still got all of the parents that are going to pull their cars onto those widened sidewalks.
Yeah.
I feel like we have, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, does the town have curb sections on any of the roadways in town?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe that would be enough. Yeah, but then then the cars would be stuck in the road. You make a good point about maybe raising the height of the curb to make it so people aren't pulling off on the sidewalk or something like that. But I think that maybe it is better to almost like leave it open-ended and say, this is the problem that we're facing, and we are seeking a solution to improve pedestrian and bike safety, as well as reduce the risk of, you know, traffic accidents.
Chris, do you think, is Miranda, you think she'd be open to maybe join one of these meetings or no? If we had a meeting sooner than later?
Yeah, no, I think so. We'd probably have to have a quicker meeting than like, you know, in the next few days.
Yeah.
She seems pretty responsive. I think I could shoot her an email and ask her if she would be willing to join us to have an open meeting. I'd probably have to do one for like Monday, which would be the 7th, to get it posted in, or maybe Friday afternoon, we're technically closed. So, I mean, the town hall is closed. Can we have meetings on Fridays, Ed? I don't know.
You can.
Yeah.
And
I have meetings on Fridays.
Right. And speaking as like an outsider, I'm not really an outsider, but having you all here, like you all have an area of expertise that is invaluable. Randall, your information about the road being reconstructed or resurfaced, the drainage on the road, those variables are really important when I start talking about what needs to be done to this road. Because I put a curb section in, I've created a whole new set of drainage problems for you. You know, it's so having you here, the information on the traffic flow and any crash history. I mean, you guys all have what's needed. All we're missing is the school. And so if you could get the school here, I think, and Miranda would have a great opportunity to share what she thinks might be a good fit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what's people's availabilities for like a Friday afternoon time frame? Is that doable or not doable?
Monday, I might not be available, but of course I'm just, you know, here taking notes. So I don't feel super critical, but Friday afternoon, I could be available. Oh my God. After 3:30. I know that's not ideal for Aliza, so I could either do 12 or 3:30.
Well, I mean, school's out at 3, so she might be, 3:30 might not be bad for her.
Yeah, you're looking at this Friday, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am booked this Friday, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, the only problem is that the application is due on the 18th. So, I mean, and by farming some of it out to you already, I mean, we've got a few pieces of the other kind of questions that are, started to be answering. And some of them are just basic factual things, but it's really this sort of the project description and design part that we need to all kind of agree on.
Loss of what to ask for. That's what I feel like. That's how I feel right now. We're at a loss of what to ask for.
Yep. I think we haven't really hit the nail on the head. We were trying to look at traffic safety, or partly pedestrian safety, for the kids to cross from those neighborhoods over to the school sidewalk. But now what we thought was going to be simple may lead us to a different kind of problem. So it's all related to pedestrian and bike and traffic safety somehow, but how we shape that is a little bit difficult.
Well, maybe Miranda can help with that. Maybe Jeff's right. Maybe Miranda would say, this is how you might consider framing it.
I mean, we can certainly try. I don't know. Is she on the review panel, Jeff? Is she
I do not believe so. The review panel is a pretty broad group.
Okay.
So it's AECom, but it's also MassDOT partners.
Okay.
And I know they just looked at some, I just did Moving Together, the conference. And
Oh, yeah.
this was one of the workshops. So, yeah, but they were encouraging towns to apply. So that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
great. We'd like to apply. We just got to figure this out better here.
How much
So
lead
maybe-
time does Ed? How much lead time do you need with your board for an application?
We don't really.
Yeah.
We're the grant committee.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, and fortunately, the chair of the board is on the grant committee, so.
yeah, I'm also the chair of the select board, Jeff. So
Okay.
wearing two hats here.
Ready to
No,
move.
we would definitely inform select board about what we're doing, but we have a certain amount of
Yes.
leeway here. And
Move
they've
pretty
heard about
quickly
it.
when select board's on the grant committee as well.
Yeah, how about that? Well, anyway, they know that we had gotten rejected on the signs and lines one, so they're aware of that, and that we were looking at something else. So let me just look at I can be available whenever the most of us can get together. We have the 18th. Let me just look. The 18th is a Friday. That's when the application is due. So the 7th is Monday, and that would still give us about 2 weeks to pull it all together. Pretty close. I'm okay on Monday if others could meet on Monday.
I'm open.
I am largely unavailable, especially Monday afternoon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can't do Monday.
Can't do
Monday,
Monday.
Tuesday, Wednesday I've got, so any of those days
Yeah.
work.
Tuesday would be okay. Again, if you needed to have a meeting without me, I wouldn't.
Yeah, no. Now, can we do,
Forward.
yeah, no, just question. Is there anything about open meeting and meeting on election day, Ed?
There is not in this particular instance. You just have to think, even though there isn't, of what the perception of your meeting on election day is. Because there's been several members of the select board that keep asking me when other boards and committees are meeting on election days, if that's allowed. It's perception at this point. That's all. It's not banned.
All right. Jeff, when might you be available?
The Friday sadly was a Thursday after the so
Friday, I could reschedule my 1:30 to 2:30. If I really needed to, I could do that.
All right.
If
But
that's like
Randall,
the only time.
Randall, you're booked on Friday though?
I am, yeah. I've got family coming into town.
Yeah, tell them, yeah, I'm just finishing up a call.
Okay. How about you, Ian?
I'm open on Friday afternoon, and Monday I'm open as well. Tuesday I'm open. I just can't go any later than 4:00 on Tuesday. That's all.
Sure. Yeah.
Tuesday, I have sporadic availability, but if I needed to shuffle, I could try to shuffle.
Okay. And Randall, you were okay on Monday? Yes.
Yes. Yep.
All right. And Jeff, I'm sorry, you said not Monday?
no, not Monday. No, sorry.
All right. Well, okay. Okay, let me find out what Aliza's school principal's availability is, either on Friday or Monday. And I'll shoot a quick note off to Miranda and ask her as well if she could join in, if she had a preference, in her schedule. I mean, I think we kind of, in a way, have to work around her opening and back ourselves around that, I would think, at this point, okay? But I think to have some of the same discussion and try to clarify a few things with her, I guess would be helpful. As I agree with Ian. I mean, I think we got 2 or 3 separate needs, and I don't know, it seems so simple in that earlier application for just the crosswalks and the landing areas. And I just don't know how much of a hornet's nest we get into here trying to define all these problems and consolidate them into one big project. Yeah, but I hear the point about widening the sidewalks. What good is that going to do us? I just didn't know if they had to be more compliant with DOT now than they currently are, that this would be an opportunity to do that, but maybe that's secondary. So
I get it. I'm in a meeting right now. I'll have to call you back.
So yeah, I know Ian was going to say something in a minute. We'll get you in a minute.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I have to leave. I wanted to thank you for including me.
Yeah, no, we'll
Thank you for participating and giving
yeah,
us.
we'll keep in touch.
Thanks, Jeff.
Ian, before you go, Jeff, Ian, you were going to say?
Jeff, I just had a quick question. I wanted to make sure I understood you correctly. It seemed like you were opposed to crosswalks coming from those neighboring streets across from the school because of the pickup line. Am I correct in the way you said that? I just want to make sure I understand it.
I would think an engineering study would tell me if those crosswalks were going to address our collective safety concerns about students crossing there. There's also a distance between mid-block crosswalks that
Right.
is a design standard, and you often will consolidate those and have one crossing rather than cars stopping and then stopping again. So there's a lot of design issues that are related to it. I'm not opposed to it in any way. I think if it's done right, but you clearly documented that this is a more complex crossing than just a mid-block crosswalk. We've got traffic flowing and different conflicts here.
Okay.
And I'm thinking these students walking through a road that has all that going on, often in the dark, right? Is just compounds things. So why not do it right if we have the resources to do it right?
Yeah.
And if the money is a different pot of funds, then we have to put a sidewalk on the other side of the road. Even though most of the streets in town don't have any sidewalk, but this is a different pot of funds. It's not our Chapter 90 money, so maybe we can justify that, consolidate it all into one crosswalk up near the school. I mean, there's all sorts of things that are in play, and so.
Okay. And Jeff, just off the go ahead, Ian.
No, I wanted to make sure that I didn't. Obviously, I value what you have to say. I want to make sure I understood it correctly. That's all.
No, and thank you for that input about the traffic flows. That is what I think it'd be worth taking a video of, because I think the story is really there and it's a remarkable one. And those pictures that Kate took are great, but they don't explain what we were talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Jeff, off the top of your head, before you go, and if we did something like this engineering study, traffic flow study, what kind of price tag do those things usually go for? Do you know? Just a range?
I don't know. I think Randall would probably have a better clue than I would. Or say the program would. The Safe Routes School provide a really good idea. AECOM could tell us ballpark what it would be without any hesitation.
Okay, I guess because so many grant programs we had tried to do looking for a feasibility study on that turning Gun Road extension into one way. We looked for that last year. We couldn't find anybody that was willing to do feasibility studies or anything like that. So the word study kind of makes me afraid that that eliminates us from a program, but maybe we just need the right verbiage.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again.
All right. We'll be back in touch, Jeff. Thank you.
Jeff.
Okay. Well, I'm glad he joined in. That was probably the most interesting PVPC interaction I've had in a while in terms of having somebody who kind of knows his area anyway. How about any thoughts? I don't need to, belabor us here. It sounds like we need to schedule another meeting, and I need to get both Miranda and Eliza and see what of those couple of days really works for them.
You can always send me a message or something, Chris, if you're looking at if I'm able to attend. Just
Sure.
I'll do my best, know, and we'll make. I'm sure you'll make it work.
Yeah.
But
okay. So right now the only
as well.
Yeah, the only no that I've heard for Friday is really Randall right now. Everybody else is somewhat available. If we could do it, right?
Yeah, I'm just waiting to hear back on a conference call with TPX. So that's going to take my first priority, but that may not be Friday afternoon at all. So
yeah, okay. And Diana, you may be around, you think, or
maybe looks like I will be.
Okay. Well, let's see what we can do. I mean, we've got some information from Randall already. I don't know if we can figure out, maybe from Eliza, she can tell us when that last whatever safety audit was, or if she has any records in her files, or if Randall, you would have anything from the first.
So I started to look for that. I don't have the actual audit, but it looks like we met back in 2014, I met with Safe Routes to School. But that may have been, that was for the Route 10 project, the shared use path.
Right.
And I know I've met with them again at some point. I think we were doing the same sort of thing. We were looking to see if there were any appropriate projects around the school that we could do.
Yeah.
But I'm not finding any email trail about that meeting.
Okay.
And it was unsuccessful. We didn't find any projects at that time. I think we were just meeting with them to kind of find out.
Okay. So if I approach Miranda, my pitch is going to be that we thought we had a simpler project, but now it may be more complicated, and we need her input in terms of what would be possible to include in the grant application. Is that right?
Definitely.
Yes, but there's site visits, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, based on the grant that we did not get.
Right.
So we propose an idea,
Yep.
and this is why we support it with why we did.
Yep.
They actually will come out
Correct.
themselves and may even provide a better idea and
Yes.
support that.
Yes.
That's correct.
Worst case scenario here, if for some reason we can't meet with Miranda, we're going to have to make a decision, right? I think if we can't meet with Miranda and she can't give us any further insight, we can't get any further insight, and rather than making it convoluted, let's go for the same thing we were going for and then have them come out and then address these needs as they come out, like they were going to do with that. That's their goal, right? They come out, they discuss it with the stakeholders, and then they actually might change plans themselves.
Yeah.
I think we could mention it as part of the application to say that we're trying to address safety for pedestrians and, by doing a little bit deeper dive in terms of data collection and just trying to determine what the best course of action is. And we really want these sidewalks or crosswalks because there's no safe way to cross.
Right.
I actually have a conflicting meeting at 3:00 that I'm gonna
Thanks,
jump
Kate.
off.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, no, I think Miranda said that, we could basically use a lot of the words from our old application here, but beef it up a little bit more. So just to say, because the pot of money is bigger than the $6,000 we were going for before, we can certainly state the crosswalk idea and all this information that we've got here, and just say that we are looking for other solutions to broaden the impact of these dollars and to increase the, potential for safety or whatever. I mean, we can, put in some extra words there to say that we're open to any and all ideas to, further develop the safetiness of the school zone, and something along that line, without being terribly specific of, we want 2 crosswalk or we want 3 stop signs and whatever. I mean, we don't go into that level of specificity. We let them come tell us what would make some sense. So yes, you're basically right. Yes.
Do we have to now in a budget summary? Do we have to come up with some form of a price, because that's very difficult for us to do? I had no idea a crosswalk would cost $50,000.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's where I don't know how that got around, because in the application guideline for the last one, they gave us a chart of this is what it costs to put the crosswalk over there. And remember, you and I were talking about linear feet and whatever else. And it was like, oh God, well, no, that all fits in just fine. It's not that long. So it just depends on the kind of signage. If you want the flashing red stop sign lights, or you want the yellow, little amber lights, whatever it is, all of those have got a cost. And even in this application guideline, they do have a cost page, which I can just pull out and I'll just send it around just so you can see it easily as a separate document. So that's what we went by as terms of the guidance that we used for the price. But they didn't really ask for a breakdown in the last one. It was 6,000. If you went over 6,000, it was assumed that extra would be the town's problem if you were awarded the grant. So 6,000 was all they were ever going to give us, no matter what. And if you needed 10,000, fine, 4,000's on your dime. Okay. This one, the one thing about this is there's no match to it, which is nice. I kind of like that for a change. But I think it's the same kind of thing where they will take a look at what we're looking for and then they make recommendations. So yes, they do that walk audit and look at, their expertise from their their traffic engineering point of view, from what I understand. So that is the beauty of it, is that they become the TA people that help put the final piece of the package together for us.
Is there
Before
a
it's
maximum
actually,
award amount on this?
oh, it goes up. There are 3 sections. I think it went from 100,000 to 250, and then 250 to 500, and I think it goes up to $1 million actually, or something like that. So yeah, so I mean, I was hoping we'd be more in the $100,000 range myself, but so I don't know, but I'll fill out that page and send that one around to y'all. But so let me see if I can organize something for Friday, and we'll have some specific questions. Maybe Randall, if you can't be with us, but I think we've got some of the basics that you gave us already that will feed into this. And then certainly whenever we'll need another meeting sometime, probably next week anyway, just because I don't know that we'll get it all done in one fell swoop here. Okay, so maybe a week from now too, we might need a follow-up meeting, or Thursday next week as well, just to see where we are at that point in time. But let's try for one on Friday, and I'll let you know what I can scrounge up between Eliza and Miranda especially, okay? I mean, I agree with Jeff. I mean, it sounds like if there's going to be any program out there to go for, this is it, to do any kind of safety improvements around the school. So this is kind of the chance to do it. So I'd rather at least try to aim for it, as long as we can be a little bit clearer in terms of what our real problem is and how we want to try and solve it. Okay.
Yeah, I think we have options, but it would just be nice to have somebody from Safe Routes to School to brainstorm with, and what looks more attractive to them.
Yeah.
Because we could solve the parking problem on Pomeroy Meadow Road. If that is keeping us from doing something else, we eliminate parking on that. You just say you can't park, you can't idle, you can't, whatever we need to do, we can control parking on that street. If that is the issue that's keeping us from getting funding, it's going to piss people off, frankly, but we got to do what we got to do. We're not here to make everybody happy. We're here to keep public safe and get people to school safely.
Yeah. Well, and I think the argument though there, I mean, I'm not sure how you would actually control that. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
it's simple. I've actually already asked Randall to reorder the sign so they don't say no parking. They say no standing, stopping, no parking, everything. And other than that, it's enforcement.
So Chris, in 2017, the select board under chapter 4022 established rules and regulations for parking and speeding and other traffic complaints. And it gives certain departments the authority to do that. So that is an option.
Okay.
It's kind of a nuclear option that
yeah.
You got to pick your battles, but I just want to put it out there that if for some reason that traffic line is keeping us from getting money, or there's some reason, we can work with that.
Okay. And I don't know, that seemed to be Jeff's interpretation, and I don't know whether that's right or wrong. I mean, he came in at the last minute in terms of knowing the piece of what we're talking about. So everybody's trying to guess what the other program was looking at. So that's a good question, but we'll see about that, I guess. So
and just to confirm, we're really trying to address that section between Route 10 and the school. Those 3 streets crossing over. That's the primary reason we're kind of shooting for this grant.
I think, Ian, that's how it all started, right? Because you had requests from families on that side of the street, right?
That was how it started. But even prior to that, right, we were concerned about the traffic line and Gun Road extension. That's why there's different levels of this, so that's why I wanted to clarify, like, what's our objective with this grant? I think we have to kind of choose one or the other here.
I forwarded you guys a traffic memo that I had done back in 2017. I hired a traffic engineer to try to come up with some alternatives. So this is a problem that's been going on since 2016, maybe.
Good. Okay.
And so it's one that hasn't been easy to solve. I think, Ian and Ed and I we've talked about different options and what might be better, and just there's no clear winner. So I'm at a loss.
We considered having the cars parked behind the school, right? And to have some access way behind the school, but then you have to worry about the summer and then the winter with the cars idling, and that was a concern of the school. So the school is a stakeholder as well in this,
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of dynamics really, that we have to consider.
I keep hoping somebody will come up with an elegant solution, but thus far that is not.
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone has a good solution. I think it just costs too much money. The solution is no money.
Yeah. Well, and here's a program with money.
Yeah, I was going to say, if the only question is money, here's a program, but we still don't have a clear, this is how we go. This is what we want to do.
Right. Yeah. And whether we can wrap around, because I think, the whole notion of maybe the Gun Road extension being a one-way, which I think is a great idea. I think your crash study information, I'm assuming, is going to show more at Route 10 and Gun Road extension than it's going to show on Pomeroy Meadow, right?
It will. It absolutely will.
So, I mean, that's, there's a real argument that I think you could hang your hat on that way, but it's going to involve time. You're going to have to get, all the families living along Gun Road extension, public meetings and get public buy-in and all that stuff to go turn that into a one-way road.
So that's why I was thinking, can this be a two-step? Can this be a multifaceted application? One being the crosswalks like we're discussing, and then on top of that, addressing that issue in a study.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. That's why I was like, what is our objective with this grant? Should we just keep it focused on those crosswalks? Should we combine the two, or do we? I don't want to make it too convoluted either, where we're not going to get it because we're asking for too much.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see if I can corral Miranda's time and see what we can come up with. Okay, and I'll get back to you as soon as I get something from her. All right.
If she's open to a variety of different times, might I suggest 2:30? Is that when the cars are all lined up? Might be a great time to get her out there when you can actually see the problem with the cars.
Yeah, if she could actually come out. I don't know if she would actually come out, or we can just get her on a meeting in general. But
I see. We're looking for a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, probably a Zoom to start with anyway.
I mean, if it's a Zoom meeting on Friday, I may be able to pop in.
Okay. Particular time, afternoon, probably.
My family's coming down sometime after I get out at 11. So that's all the information I have right now.
All right. Well, 2:00 seems to work well for us, but we'll see. Even if you could come in for a short bit, if I can get her on the phone here.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be a Zoom meeting for sure for now.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Well, good. Well, thanks everybody. Much appreciate your time. We're we got some good ideas. We just got to tidy them up a little bit here, I think, and see where we're going. But yeah, good. I will take a motion to adjourn. Diana. All right. And I'll second that. So we'll call ourselves adjourned. Okay, 3:15.
Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.